Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Darwish.
Waalaikumsalam. Sekejap
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Brother Darwish Raslan, for
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
your willingness to cooperate with us in this interview. So, basically this interview is about leadership, and we chose you because we know that you are one of IIUM Student Union members. And the first question, can you introduce yourself to us? Your name, your age, education, status maybe, and your leadership experience. Please.
Alright. Thank you so much for the invitation, firstly to Sister Hasifah, and also to all members of the floor, be it in this room or outside the room. I really appreciate your approach. I hope I can help in every way I can and possible to help. If I can't, so I'm sorry. With regard to the introduction, firstly, my name is Muhammad Darwish bin Ruslan, and people at UIA usually call me Darwish. I'm currently in my final year. Law, I take LLB and also Sharia. And experience in leadership, maybe this is important for your reports, right? Actually, of course, we did involve in many societies, but maybe I can share a little bit from CFS. I was president of MILEX, Law Student Society, and then I was also student coordination committee. I'm not really sure. During your time, maybe it's called FSCC, but during our time, it's called SCC. And during my second year of first year, second sem, I was vice president of Law Student Society in ICOT. And now currently I'm caretaker in IIUM Student Union. Maybe maybe that's enough for my introduction. Thank you.
We proceed to the second question.
Because sure. Sure, proceed. We can proceed.
Okay,
because I spent my 1 year in Darul Quran.
Oh, okay, I see. Oh, okay. MashaAllah. Okay. So the second question is, can you tell us about the vision, objective of the society of IIUM SU, and maybe you have your personal vision and mission of the society. Can you explain to us about it?
Right. Briefly, actually, I think all of us can relate. IIUM Student Union is a very new society. We really accomplish the basis and foundation of our society. I mean, we are still within the process of registration and establishing our foundation in IIUM University. We are not even mentioned in IIUM Constitution yet, but we are working for that. And that's mean we are very new. But as far as what we can see, IIUM Student Union indeed have a very much responsibilities with regard to the welfare of the student. So as at least what we can aim for is that maybe I can share two of a lot. The first is that we are aiming to become the student representation. I think this is the very basic, and let cliche be cliche, because the aim of us is at least to be champions in advancing or advocating the students' voices to the policy making arena, which means the administration, and also not only about policy making, but as well as to advocate the voices of students and grassroots of our community for the best interests of the public as well. I think which means the community around us and whatnot. And secondly, other than the welfare, I think, of course, IIM Student Union should have the sense of responsibility to be part of the movement by the university itself, in which our university, if we can acknowledge or understand, we are within the process of of moving towards something bigger. Our rector are moving, focusing on sustainability, and we have now received a lot of awards on that. But what I can share is that our rector is not satisfied enough. So we are moving more. We are moving more and more. So of course we should take part on that as well, and we should call our IIM student as a whole to be part of it, which means to move or grow holistically excellence in whatever our university demand or project us to be. I think that's maybe our vision as for now lah. And I forgot one thing about my personal mission, right? So with regard to my personal mission, what I can share is that, um, of course, firstly to fulfill whatever vision the society have, and with regard because I'm in the Office of Education, I am Student Union. My personal mission would be that the education of the students are keep connected, because we are in very much pressing situation in the pandemic COVID-19, right? Within our data, there's a lot of students who are got affected a lot, have pressure and struggles at their hometown and whatnot. So my personal mission is that to at least uh, for those people got affected, to make sure they are not having so much barrier towards education. The education should be connected to them in what every way possible. I think that should
Okay, thank
be
you.
it.
Thank you, Brother Darwish, for the explanation of the vision of the society and also your own vision. So you are in IIUM, you are the caretaker of the education matters, right? Am I right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Okay, we move to the next question. How would you describe your leadership style?
With regard to my style, I'm not really sure, because I have never come into an event where I establish, okay, this is my style. I think some of us can relate as well. We are act according to the situation, maybe. So maybe I can say my style is more like flexible one. I'm not really sure if there is any specific kind of styles in terms of leadership. I believe there are, but I'm not sure I belong to which categories. But what I can share is that I am flexible to be in any kind of situation, because within my experience, other than I join societies, I also um, usually I put myself into various kind of experience. For example, I also joined Road to Army in IIUM. So that kind of experience give me experience being in a pressured situation, being shout, being mad, and being asked to do everything without we can't even negotiate. So I can be in that situation, and also I can be in a very happy situation as well. And as for now, I don't think I have any problem with regard to any situation lah. So I think I love and me myself love a leader who are very flexible and can act according to the needs and also situation.
Okay, very nice answer. So you are flexible and react according to the situation. Thank you. So the next question is, what values are most important to you as a leader?
What value are most important to me as a leader?
Yes.
Oh, I think this is the hardest question as of now. For me, there is a lot. Of course, again, there is a lot of values that a leader should possess in order to be a good leader. But personally, I believe the most important values for a leader to possess is the value that should be possessed by a human being themselves, or especially as Muslim, the value that everyone in this world are leaders, is what Allah said in Quran and also in hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I think and I firmly believe that at least a leader should possess the value what a Muslim should possess. And if I can share, there's one my lecturer 3 years back, with 3 years back or 4 years back in during my moment at the Quran. He says that there are at least three values for a human. I think, or at least there is one verse in Quran which Allah shares to us. This is what a human should understand on what is our life is all about, which is in Surah Luqman, verse 17, if I'm not mistaken. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Ya bunayya aqimis solah wa'mur bil ma'ruf wanha 'anil munkar wasbir 'ala ma asabak inna dhalika min azmil umur. Sadaqallahul Azim. In this verse, why it's very beautiful, Ustaz Noman Ali Khan shared that this verse, in this verse, Allah intentionally choose this verse to put into the Quran, whereby in that moment, during that moment, Luqman says to his son a very beautiful advice for him in order to survive life. What he asked his son to do is that first you need to akimi solah, perform the solah. And ulama in describe or in discussing that, it's not only about solah actually. It's about it's important for us to understand that firstly and do the best for yourself first. Do the best with regard to your responsibilities, do the best with regard to your obligations, do the best with regard to your rights. And of course, that's what we can understand by performing salah, because it's not involve anyone else. It's involve us and also Allah. The second one is wa'mur bil ma'ruf wanha 'anil munkar. Ulama says, and Muslim jurists agree that it is not only about ourselves in this life. It is also about human being. It's also involve community around us. So whenever we do our best in terms of our personal interests, we should also do the best for the community. We need to be in the middle of community and ask them to do good, and whenever there is bad thing, we need to call them as well and fight it. We can't be personal only, we can't be in the community only. We need to be balanced. And the last thing is that wasbiru ala ma asabak, in which Ustaz Noman Ali Han said that of course in life there is, if you are fighting so much, you are going to have so much pressure, you are going to have so much obstacles. So what we need to do, Allah says that wasbir ala ma asabak, be patient with whatever happened to you, because this thing inna dhalika min azmil umur, because that two things, to serve your personal right, to serve for yourself and also to serve for community, there is so much struggle. That's why Allah said that inna dhalika min azmil umur, itu sesungguhnya itu adalah perkara yang perlu lakukan dengan baik, berjaga-jaga. Kalau ada benda yang mendatang ataupun menjatuhkan kita, kita kena wasbir ala ma asabah, kita kena bersabar dan teruskan, sebab itu memang kita kena buat. So I believe that is what the value a leader should possess. He should not only think about himself, and he should not only think about the community. He should think of both and also have that strength to face the challenges.
Inshallah. Thank you, Brother Darwish. So for the next question, I pass to my friend, Sister Izzah and Sister Irham.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Sorry for not open my video because of my internet connection. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. The next question is, are you able to collaborate with others and accept new ideas? And how do you handle disagreement with them?
All right, that's it. Is it?
Yes.
All right, thank you for the question. Am I able to collaborate and accept new ideas from others? Is it? And how to handle disagreements among coworkers?
Yes.
First of all, I personally I believe there are things that within our control, and there are things that beyond our control. Because I think this is what Islam teach us as well. There are uh, act or deed which called af'alu ikhtiyari, and is another way is that af'alu ittirari. There is thing that we can control. For example, we if we want to eat, we can eat. If we want to talk, we can talk, and whatnot. There is also things that we can't control, but it's also act or what we want to do. For example, Allah says in Quran, Allah asks us to die in a good way. For example, mati dalam keadaan baik. Or Allah asks us to preserve ourselves because Allah love those who are qawi and strong. So that is also af'al, but it is beyond our control. We don't have control to confirm that we can have it. So, with regard to this, what ulama usuliyin says that there is no taklif or responsibilities in affirming what you have no control. For example, in life, there is so much things to happen, right? For example, let's say COVID-19. We, all of us want to be in a good health and far away from COVID. No one intentionally want COVID to affect them. But some things just happen beyond our control. Right? So there is no responsibility for us to avoid COVID-19, not avoid, to be free from COVID-19. But what ulama says is that the responsibility should be in the ways that can come to COVID-19. So the responsibility is to avoid COVID-19, to do grounding on your home, to keep the SOP well adhered. So with regard, I think this is the similar things in community or in engaging with people. There is something that we can control. For example, on how we communicate, how we share the ideas, and how we talk to each other and whatnot. But if crisis happen in our circle, sometimes we didn't expect that thing to happen, right? So for sure, sometimes we can have an event where someone give an ideas which are very new and very old, and sometimes it's going to be very what we call not a good idea at all. So in term of this, for sure we need to collaborate. We need to accept the idea. But in deciding whether we will take the idea as our vision or our focus of action is the second things we need to discuss. And to answer the question is that of course, for this matter or for this purpose of discussion, I would say I can collaborate with others, and also I can accept new ideas. And but I think I should share more on how we can handle disagreement with coworkers. Me myself also in ICOL, or if you are aware, in Malaysia or in internationally, judiciary, the kehakiman, mahkamah, which responsible to administer dispute among people. This is the role of judiciary in Malaysia and also in other places. But in settling dispute, we don't only rely on the court solely or wholly alone, because we have other ever if you have ever heard about it, alternative dispute resolution, in which currently at this point of time, alternative dispute resolution is being relied more than the court system, because court system is costly. It's affect the relationship between the people in dispute. So in ADR, alternative dispute resolution, we have a lot of ways to settle disagreement or dispute between peoples. We have negotiation, we have mediation, we have adjudication, we have arbitration and whatnot. And also, I think if a leader can possess that skills and understanding or knowledge on how to settle dispute between peoples, they can actually be a very good, a better skill to face any problem in future relating to the co-workers. As of my within my experience, what I can share is that to settle disagreement or crisis between members, for sure we need to communicate lah, because communication is key, right? But if there is time we can't communicate, they don't want to communicate between each other, it's not necessarily that we need to solve that problem at that point of time. For example, we can do mediation. Mediation is that we call the person, the first person and then second person. We call the first person one, and then we hear from them first what is their problem actually, and then they will share their story. But we can't accept their story at that point of time yet, because we are yet to hear from the other side, right? So mediation also inquire us to hear the story from the other side. So when we heard stories from both sides, we can actually understand what is the real situation is currently happening at that point of time. So by understanding the situation, I think that is the first step to for a leader to possess, to focus on, to understand the situation without accepting first impression or uh, bad characters sharing. For example, one person comes to you, say complain about your another co-workers, he did not do his job or whatnot. Of course, as a leader or as a top leader, you can't take that wholly or solely and put the blame on him directly or straightly. You need to come and hear from him first. I think that's the way good. Firstly, to do communication and to understand the situation before you can ever decide on whatever alternative you can offer for them to have. I hope that can help.
Okay, thank you, Brother Darwish. So we proceed to the next question from Sister Irham.
Okay, Assalamualaikum, Brother Darwish.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Okay, so I will proceed with the next question.
All right.
The question number 6, which is, tell me how you have created a shared purpose among people who initially differed in opinions or objective. Please, Brother Darwish.
Thank you. I think this is also hard to explain, and somehow we can relate lah, because people have their own views. We ourselves pun somehow we tend to have our views which differ to each other. So truth be told, within these 5 years in IIUM, especially handling or engaging with people, there might be some occurrence or some event where I can't settle the problem. Of course, I think so. There's some event that I can't settle the problem, but because we can't control it, right? What we can do is trying the whatever every way possible. So with regard to especially in creating a circle that can share a very one important objective only, especially in our society or IIUM students community. Um, I think it also goes back to the basic. Firstly, to communicate and also to to make sure the foundation is there before discussing anything important with regard to the topics or the interest. For example, if I can share, I think it's a good way. My third year or second year, third year, I was responsible to handle I-Call festival. For example, I think every kuliah have their own festival, right? So this is the biggest event in our kuliah-based societies level. So there is one thing that happened. Usually before we can proceed, we need to establish our community first, right? And then we need to recruit subcommittees from outside. So what happened is that one of my co-workers come out with one idea, because he said that I-Call festival this year should be very, very inclusive or exclusive, which means that we need to show to other kuliah that we can have our own festival without recruiting other members from other kuliah. So he is trying to suggest that we should focus on our Icolian first to be the community. We should only accept Icolian to be subcommittee to this event. So that is somehow a new suggestion, because previously I think every kuliah pun whoever can are allowed to be subcommittees in whatever event, right? We do not have any prohibition or policy saying that other kuliah cannot be subcommittee in this kuliah or whatnot. So this is new. So it's hard to I think it's the good thing is that that suggestion come at the right moment. We want everyone to agree. If anyone don't agree, he will say that you don't understand our vision of our kuliah and whatnot. So that is somehow create some moment of silence in this world. There might be common ground. For example, if parents, husband and wife are quarreling or disputing, they want to divorce, right? So at least if they have 100 problems, at least there will be one common ground that they must agree. For example, welfare of children. And at that point of time, what I can suggest the best is that firstly we will recruit Icolian first, because that is what we want. At least the focus of our arena is Icolian. And I think Icolian deserve to restrict any other students from other kuliah to join us. We are also welcome them when the recruiting from Icolian is finished. So to revise back, firstly to open room for discussion, let them state whatever they want to state first, and then be the last one to speak and find common grounds. Right, that's all.
Proceed to the next question. For the next question is, can you tell us about a time when you and your team face challenging odds and how you keep them engaged and motivate to overcome the situation and succeed? Maybe you can give the example of a method that you have used to successfully motivate your staff.
I think
Okay.
what I can understand from this question is that whenever we face something that not within our interest or not within our expectation, not within our plan, and somehow our circle, our teams, our co-workers, some of them down or become demotivated. So as a leader, there at that moment of time, it is the most important part of your life to ensure that the circle is keep motivated. And I think among the personalities or styles for a leader that I always look up to is the one who always keep the circle clean. What I mean is that the circle, our community, our team is free from any kind of bad things or abusing point that can affect our commitment, our productivity and progress. Because of what? Because our circle is very small, and the pressure outside, the obstacle, the struggle, the problem outside the circle is too much and too dangerous for us to even imagine. And at the very least that we can do is that to keep our circle safe lah. So whenever our teammates or our co-workers feel down or demotivated, this is the very important part of leaders life, to ensure the circle keep motivated. And I think if I can share one method that I have ever used, first accept the reality, but somehow things doesn't uh, happen like what we have planned. And there is some, if there is event, there are events where we feel demotivated, we feel stressed, we feel like we have tried everything that we can do, but things just doesn't uh, belong to us. So what we can do is that first we need to accept the reality that some things are not within our control. So we need to accept that damage might happen, but we can't stop just like that lah. We can't stop just like accepting that there is damage. Whenever there is damage, of course we need to cover that damage lah. For example, if there is, for example, I think this is a new very controversial issue. Our politician Khairi Jamaluddin, why become Khairi Jamaluddin cycling on highway and suddenly jatuh, or dia ada lubang kat jalan raya kan, lepas tu dia jatuh. So he can't say is that this should not happen. He must accept that, sorry Rojak, tapi but for sure every responsible parties can't just say like that. For sure when there is damage they must cover it. So whenever there is lubang they need to tampal it. And so I think same goes to this situation. Whenever we face challenges within our circle, in order to keep our team motivated, firstly to accept the reality, secondly to act and cover the damages. And I think the way on how we can cover damages is very flexible. For example, I think one, if I can share, during my ICOL festival, our ICOL festival last year as well, we have one big problem with regard to our t-shirt. Usually we have a t-shirt, right, for each festival. So there is one moment of time whereby the suppliers send to us the shirt tau. And it's very unfortunate for us because the event is about like 3 days more. And the t-shirt, when we saw the t-shirt is like dia punya colour tu balik. Sepatutnya yang terang tu hitam and then yang kecil-kecil tu kelabu. Tapi supplier tu unintentionally put it the other side, the other way around. Dia punya baju kami sepatutnya our shirt should be black, but somehow our shirt tend to be grey, kelabu. So during that time my committee in charge for that thing is very down, demotivated. So what I can say is that we are quite struggle to find to find how we can cover the damage. But somehow when I negotiate with the supplier, because this should not happen, they just and then I fight, negotiate, agree to for free. So at that point of time, what I can announce to my committee and also ICOLian is that the shirt will be delayed, but as while waiting for the shirt, the right shirt, you can tag all this deceived defect shirt for free. So that somehow give them some motivation lah. So it can somehow cover the damage. I think that's all what we can at least do to keep things be motivated, which is to cover whatever damage that come.
Okay, so I will ask the number 8 question. Describe the most difficult professional decision you have ever had to make, and what was the outcome? Okay, please, Brother Darwish.
I think this one is also hard or very rare question. I never experienced this kind of question. Firstly, because I don't think I have one, because professionalization I have ever made. I'm not really sure if I have ever made one, but if I can share, for sure during our tenure as IIM Student Union, we engage a lot with administration. So I think that's give us a little bit scope of professional. There might come some event where we need to advance or portray the voices and concerns from students, right? For example, you have complained, all of us have complained a lot with regard to fees, with regard to the Wi-Fi connection. I think I receive that every day. For example, I think the these 2 weeks is very hard for me because I actually every hours or every 2 hours a day I will receive complaint with regard to pre-reg. The system is very not very suitable or stable for us. Especially I call in. I don't know why. Every time 12 p.m. comes, the portal is not working. So yeah, there's a lot of complaints. There are a lot of concerns from students that we need to bring and put onto the table of them administration parties. So I think I can, if I can share one moment, I have one opportunity to enter into a Senate meeting, which a meeting whereby the university will decide on important things. So at that point of time, I was there to be a representative from student. So I need to be part of I need to portray our view on the policy they are discussing on. So of course, if I can share, I'm not sure is it privacy or confidential, but generally they discussing about education or teaching and learning, about online classes. So of course, with regard to online classes, there are a lot of problems we have received from students now. So within our reports, there are a lot of criticism towards the administration, not a sole criticism, but problems that if we portray to the Senate meeting, which in the Senate meeting we have Chancellor Director, we have Deputy Director, we have also deaneries of each kuliah. If I portray 100% as what are within our reports, it's just like it will look like a very small person, a public or a person, a resident goes into rulers, our rulers of states council, majlis raja-raja Melayu punya meeting tu. It's just like a public go to that meeting and then giving a lot of problems. I think if I were to portray 100% as what within our report, it's going to be very unprofessional. It's very hard for us to critique the administration uh, in a very transparent way. So what I did is that during that time, I decide because when we discuss, some of us says that it's impossible to negotiate on that thing because it's just impossible. It will give back effect to university and whatnot. But during that time, I decide to just present it on the Senate meeting, but just to start with a good way lah. Like firstly we need to appreciate all the efforts. We need to say one by one the effort that have been done by the administration of university. For example, they have reduced the fees. They have did whatever they have done. There's a lot actually. There's a lot our university have done with regard to our situation. But we need to portray the concern and criticism, especially on the problems that students affected from the online classes. So at that time, when I start by stating their good deeds, so when I comes to put on the table about the criticism, they are okay to hear that. And actually the administration are very welcome, are very appreciate that they have heard that kind of criticism. For example, like this lecturer is not doing classes, this lecturer is doing assessment that give so much burden on students, which is not necessary. But they actually like to hear that, because they, throughout the years they administrating IIUM, they have never experienced criticism from students right away. So that point of time, I think that's the important decision I made to critique administration in their own meeting, and the overcome is that they accept it. So I think what I can say is that, yeah, sure, indeed, in this life everything seems impossible until it is done, right? So if we might experience anything impossible, just believe, just discuss and believe on your team's decision. If this is the best for our teams and second, just do it the best. And I think there is no things called impossible in engaging with people. That's all.
Oh, okay. Proceed to the next question.
Sure.
So, what support do you think is necessary from IIM community for you to be successful in your mission?
I think we can't say much on this because everyone will have different view. But personally, in the context of IIUM Student Union, right? The first question or the second question just now, I have explained or shared what is our vision, what we are aiming for. So in terms of what we may ask, or we may put onto the table, that the so that the community can take a look together, is that we should there are at least three things. Firstly, the community should understand. They should try to understand the situation, the real situation. Don't only understand their part of situation. Understand the situation as a whole. What we are in currently in dire pandemic COVID-19. We are there is a lot of things we need to understand. For example, what have administration done, and why administration do this policy kind of policy and whatnot. Firstly, we need to try first to understand, and secondly, the community, including IIM Student Union, everyone should take part. After we understand the situation, of course, we might come to an event where we find, oh, this is not good, or something should be settled. When there is problems, something should be done, right? And then we will portray to someone and then ask them to take part or to be responsible for that. So I think the second thing that I can request for is to have the sense of responsibility to take part from everyone. Yeah, the problem is not only belong to the university. For example, the Wi-Fi connection problem, right? Of course, the problem is not only belong to us. We are not only those who are affected by the Wi-Fi connection problem. So what we can do is that firstly we need to understand this situation is happening in IUM. So who are the responsible parties? Who are the affecting parties and whatnot? What is the best way for us to solve the problem? For example, as students, what I can say is that to direct the concern to the platform, to the right platform. For example, there are students who have problem with regard to Wi-Fi, and then they report it to the Twitter. The Twitter can't solve the problem, but the Wi-Fi connection problem portal from ITD is the one who can actually direct the problem to ITD for them to take action on that. So every people should first understand and then take part in solving whatever problem we have, not only about problem, but if we have vision to to the thing that I mentioned just now with regard to the holistic excellence in enhancing our university, everyone to take part on that. And last but not least, not only to take part, we need to unite, which means to affirm and be ground, ada ke ayat tu, maksudnya together, be together in one vision, which means our university vision lah. If we take part of, or if there is a lot of people, right, A, B, C, D, E, if these 5 people take part, but in different ways and different vision, which not within each other's interest, it will not solve the problem lah. So for this, especially during this dire pandemic COVID-19 punya pressing situation, I think the best 3 things for us to do is to understand situation, to take part, and also in taking part of creating the solution, we need to unite. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Brother Darvish, for the answer. Okay, we move to the last question. What is the harshest criticism that you have gotten over the course of your management career? What is the harshest criticism you have got throughout your leadership experience in IIUM SU?
Thank you. I think thank you for this question first lah, because I think this is most of the time, or my friend oftenly ask this question to us. What is the harshest, what is the worst experience we have ever experienced in doing such thing? Because firstly, if I can explain or do a little bit disclaimer, IIUM Student Union, most of us are not choosing to be officer of IIUM Student Union. Most of us are appointed through suggestion by staff, by officers, and also previous SRC. Because we don't have election, right, for the first IIM Student Union. So me myself among them who are not choosing to be part of them, but appointed and being asked to join and fill the position for IIM Student Union. So I think just one disclaimer lah, so that whenever I experience challenges, it's different for me to take the challenges as compared to if I were to be candidate for election and then I win the election and then for the criticism, for the harshest criticism in answering your question, right? I think as of now there is none. There is no criticism, harsh criticism that I have ever received throughout this tenure. But some of my friends have received some. For example, like students PM or complain at social media, this guy is not doing his job, this guy is just want the position but don't want to take responsibility on the role and whatnot. I think that is relatable as a society's servant, be it in KBS. I think Hasifa and others also involved in societies, right? So I think somehow that kind of comment, even though it's a little bit only one sentences or one sentence, that somehow uh, hit us very deep. Even though somehow we understand that it's not true. We did our job, we did our best. So, but somehow it's really hurt us deeply, and mostly I think if I can share our friends is sometimes they feel down, they feel demotivated and whatnot. But as of now, I think I've not experiencing one during this IIM student unit tenureship. But what I can advise them is that I think this is very much important for us to understand, not only with regard to leadership or management career, but in surviving life, we should relate back to what Allah have advised us in Quran. If I can share one verse, Surah Al-Fusilat verse 30, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you can check after this. Surah Fusilat verse 30, Allah intentionally or in very beautiful way, Allah give a very beautiful advice for those who feel down and afraid of criticism and afraid of doing mistakes. Allah says in Quran, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim, Innal ladzina qalu rabbuna Allah summa istaqamu tatanazzalu alaihimul malaikatu alla takhafu. Asifah tengah cek Betul tak ayat tu? Alla takhafu wa la tahzanu wa abshiru bil jannati allati kuntum tu'adun. Kalau tak silap surah Fussilat 30 verse 30. In this verse Allah says that saya translate bahasa Melayu Innal ladzina qalu rabbuna Allah, sesungguhnya sesiapa for those who tak boleh lah bahasa Melayu kena bahasa Inggeris lah. For sesungguhnya sesiapa yang berkata bahawasanya Allah Tuhanku, innal ladzina qalu rabbuna Allah summa taqamu, dan setelah dia mengakui Allah tu Tuhan dia, dia berterusan ataupun berterusan melakukan apa yang Allah suruh ataupun istiqamah melakukan kebaikan dan sebagainya. Tatanazzalu alaihimul malaika, akan datang kepada mereka. Mungkin kita boleh bayangkan ulama dalam membincangkan ayat ni, dia macam membayangkan malaikat datang kat kita, sebab malaikat kan selalu datang kat manusia, sisi manusia kan. Dia datang kat kita, tatanazzalu alaihimul malaikatu alla takhafu, dia akan berbisik kat kita, dia akan cakap alla takhafu, janganlah kau takut, janganlah kau bimbang, wala tahzanu, janganlah kau bersedih, wa abshiru bil jannati allati kuntum tu'adun, sebaliknya kau sepatutnya bergembira dengan rasa yang engkau akan dapat janji-janji Allah seperti yang dijanjikan. Dalam ayat ni Allah cakap wa abshiru bil jannah, bergembiralah dengan syurga yang Allah janjikan. Maksudnya dalam Ustaz Nama Alihan dalam membincangkan ayat ni, he state that whenever we submit or establish that we are servant, and whenever we do the good things and not the wrong things, don't be sad. Even Allah advised us through the angel for us to stay calm, don't be sad, but just have that vision of to be in the heaven as your motivation, because that is what Allah promised us if we do good things and we do beneficial things to others. So as long as we do good things in societies, of course there might be problem, there might be mistakes on our part, but I believe at least in this university, this is the only space that we can do mistakes without any problem. People don't deserve to put pressure so much, and we as well don't deserve to put pressure to any other person who do mistake, because in university we are learning, we are preparing to jump into the reality outside, right? So as long as we do good as what Allah says, I think we should be motivated with what Allah promised lah, insyaAllah. That's all I think.
Okay, thank you, Warrior Darwish, for the beautiful answer. And Alhamdulillah, we have finished all the question. We have 10 questions. I really thank you, and I think that we have chosen the right person to be interviewed, the best person, because from this interview we don't just get the answer that we want, but we also get some advices, hikmah from you. So jazakallahu khairan. We wish you
وإياك.
we witnessed that the performance and the responsibility from IIUMSU, and we believe that the student union right now is in the best performance, inshallah. And thank you for serving us. I mean, when we become a leader, we actually a servant. Sayyidul Qaumi Khadimuhum. So
Inshallah.
on behalf of the IIM community, I thank you. I thank all the members of IIMSU for becoming the best leader for us. And that's all for today. May Allah bless you. May Allah ease all your matters. Thank you again.
Inshallah. وإياكم. Thank you for inviting. I think I don't have that much to say, but yeah.